Welcome to AG's Ace. It has been a tremendous victory for India. Now, with India getting 14 out of 15 members of the UN Security Council on its side, China found itself quite isolated, and it had to give up its technical hold on the designation of Lashkar-e-Toiba's Deputy Chief Abdul Rahman Makki as a global terrorist. So his name is officially on the list as a global terrorist. Again, like I said, it's a big victory for India. Who's Makki? Makki is the brother-in-law of LET chief Hafiz Saeed, another big name in those circles. Makki used to raise funds from the Middle East, and he used to do it under the garb of being the head of the Foreign Relations Committee. The US wasn't very convinced with that, and back in 2010, it imposed a bounty of $3 million on his head. Now, according to information coming in from New York, China was isolated in the UNSC over Makki, as India made it clear that it would relentlessly go on and on pushing for this to happen. And that would mean that it would keep exposing the roles being played by China and Pakistan over the listing of global terrorists. Now, China, as a permanent UNSC member, had put a technical hold on listing Makki as a global terrorist in July 2022. India also wants 2611 killer Sajid Mir of LET to be listed as a global terrorist, and those efforts are going on. China was virtually working as an agent of Pakistan in the UNSC and assisting Pakistan in its nefarious activities and using its enormous clout in the UN. Pakistan has been backing terrorists like Hafiz Saeed, Masood Azhar, and his brother Rauf Azhar, and India wants all of them on the list of global terrorists. Now, despite Masood Azhar running a terror factory in Bahawalpur in Punjab, and there is a lot of information that Indian intelligence sources have over the kind of activities that he has been doing in pushing terrorism in India, China blocked his designation 4 times in the UN before finally giving up. And the same was the case with LET's Hafiz Saeed, who planned and orchestrated the 2611 Mumbai attacks with his lieutenants Zakiur Rahman Lakhvi and Sajid Mir. These are very familiar names now in India. Now, what does placing a hold mean? Let me explain that to you. It is basically that once a listing is proposed, it will be adopted into the list according to a no objections procedure, which means, in simpler terms, if any member of the UN Security Council places a hold on the listing or objects outright to it, that listing cannot be adopted. So there cannot be any objection from a permanent member. Now, as a permanent member of the UNSC, China can do this multiple number of times, and please remember, it also has veto power, which it has abused relentlessly. The UN committee can give a 6-month extension and wait to review this matter in case of an objection, but in reality that doesn't happen. It goes on and on for quite a long time, to the detriment of countries like India. Now, what are the reasons China has been giving for doing so? First of all, as we all know, China has close bilateral ties with Pakistan, and it therefore feels that to create a power nexus in this zone, it must back Pakistan instead of India. So it has gone about its nefarious designs in that context. Since 2001, China has placed holds on a number of listing proposals. Now, even after the Parliament attack and the Mumbai 2611 attacks, China kept placing a hold on the UNSC terror listing proposals for Masood Azhar. Then in 2009, in 2010, 16, 18, it claimed that there was inadequate information on Masood Azhar, so his name cannot be included as a global terrorist. In May 2019, 3 months after the Pulwama terror attack, which almost brought the two nations to war, which means India and Pakistan to a conflict, China finally relented and gave up because there was a lot of evidence which India produced to prove its point. The second reason why China does so could be because China feels that India doesn't bring these proposals alone, and it is backed by US and France, and so there is a power angle to it, a power alliance, and it objects to it. Now, what are the options available before India? An interesting move India made was that since the Mumbai attacks, in 2008, India has pursued with the Paris-based FATF, which is Financial Action Task Force, and it placed Pakistan on a grey list, which meant that Pakistan's terror financing and money laundering were both exposed. And between the phases of 2012 and 15 and 2018 to 22, when it was placed on the FATF list, it brought Pakistan under tremendous scrutiny, thereby paralyzing a lot of the work that it was doing. Finally, India and the US have built their own separate lists of global terrorists, and they are cooperating on it and are moving ahead. Lastly, like I said, what can India do? India's policies do not allow it officially to go in for drone attacks like the US does relentlessly and takes out terror targets, nor can it possibly go into Pakistan like the US did and take out Osama bin Laden. And that was made famous in the movie Zero Dark 30. India cannot officially do that. I keep using the word officially. Unofficially is a different space altogether. India also possibly cannot emulate its friend Israel in his, like the way it goes about with its proactive attacks. So finally, there are the three things that India needs to officially concentrate on: defense, internal security, and international relations, and build a strong alliance overseas, which it is mirrored this time at the UNSC. And kudos to the team led by the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, who has done a terrific job at the UN. Thanks for watching AG's Ace.